But our first hour, I want to deal with economics. I've got a bunch of stuff here from the Financial Times. Dan Gaynor is going to join us in just a minute. And so this great quote, because so much started to change in the 1980s as the people who in the 1950s and 60s or the 60s and 70s, as young students, college students, had read Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand's novel, and they started to acquire power during the Reagan administration, these proto-libertarians. And so this great quote, there are two novels that can change a bookish teenager's life, The Lord of the Rings and Atlas Shrugged. One is a childish fantasy that often engenders a lifelong obsession with its unbelievable heroes, leading to an emotionally stunted, socially crippled adulthood unable to deal with the real world. The other one, of course, involves orcs. So, our quote for the day. Dan Gaynor is with us. He is the T. Boone Pickens Fellow and Vice President at the Business and Media Institute, a conservative think tank, businessandmedia.org, the website. Dan, hey, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be back. How are you doing today?
I am great, Dan. It's always nice talking with you. You've been blogging and writing over at businessandmedia.org about basically how horrified you guys are that the President of the United States stepped in and took the president of what has been, through most of the 20th century, the number one company in the Fortune 500. It obviously isn't now, but nonetheless one of America's largest industrial icons, and basically said to the president, sorry, you're out of here.
Yeah, I think that's a horrible precedent because he was done on the basis that, okay, the government's involved in that company. Well, the government's involved in some way or another with a whole bunch of companies, a lot of whom would be very startled to discover that Barack Obama could fire them. And everything from hospitals to universities to Wall Street to Detroit. And so, and of course, the news on the street immediately after this firing was concerns that bank presidents are soon to follow. Now, Barack Obama simply said...
And a fine thing it would be, in my opinion.
I mean, hey, I'm not saying some of these guys shouldn't deserve to lose their job. Barack Obama didn't consult the people who actually own the company, didn't consult the taxpayers, the stockholders, anybody. He just went out and basically fired somebody. Yeah. No chairman of the board, nothing like that. That's a horrendous precedent. We've seen that model not work in multiple governments, that don't need to be stated, but it all started with that. It all had that S word in them, generally speaking.
Well, I think, frankly, it's a marvelous sentiment. Let me just share with you the Motor Trend. I don't know if you saw this. It's over at their website, blogs.motortrend.com. Their editorial on this topic from today. It was written by Angus McKenzie, and he says, and there's the GM logo up at the top. He says, you could hear the collective gasp across the nation yesterday as President Obama announced that, in effect, the government was taking control of the destinies of both GM and Chrysler. Within minutes, the S word was being bandied about by numerous commentators. By their reckoning, America was now well on the way to becoming, shock, horror, a socialist nation. What nonsense. Yesterday's announcement was about pragmatism, not socialism. The American-owned auto industry needs to get smaller faster. It needs to be right-sized for the 21st century. This is really about trying to preserve jobs. Washington figures a closely managed government intervention will cost taxpayers less than the economic collateral damage caused by a messy failure of either GM and Chrysler and the subsequent loss of between 1 million and 3 million jobs. And he wraps the thing up. I think this is an interesting comment. This again, the editorial over at Motor Trend. Free marketers may be apoplectic at President Obama's unprecedented intervention in the affairs of private companies, although without our money, neither of these companies would be in business today, so perhaps it's not unreasonable we taxpayers should have some say in how they're run. But these are unprecedented times, and the myth of the free market collapsed along with the American financial system last year. The bottom line is our government has a duty to care to protect its citizens from harm, including economic harm. Like I said, pragmatism, not socialism.
And of course, they're entirely wrong. They're wrong-headed on so many different points. It's hard to catch all of them in a quick statement here. But they're wrong. First of all, the free market is not dead, much as people in Washington are trying to kill it.
He said the myth of the free market.
It's not a myth. It's reality. It does work. We saw it in the 80s. It does work. I note you're having Ravi Batra on, soon afterwards, so he'll probably come up with some sort of Reagan was a big socialist garbage. But then again, Ravi Batra is also the guy who wrote The Great Depression in 1990, so you get what you pay for with him. Tell him I've got a copy of his book, by the way. He owes me $4.95.
Okay. Dan, we have a policy of not trashing people when they're not around to defend themselves.
Well, I would, if he was
I don't trash you when we get off the air.
That's fair. But the point I'm making here is people who think free market is dead. It's a mistake.
No. The point, Dan. I'll just be very quick, and because I know you've got a lot that you wanted to respond to. I read a long piece here. But there is no such thing as a free market. The market is brought into being by we the people collectively, that is the government, we the people, the first three words of the Constitution, saying we're going to give special privileges to people who engage in corporate activity. We're going to limit their liability. We're going to give them access to the ability to deduct from their taxes things that normal people would have to pay for, everything from meals to equipment to transportation. There are all these benefits, and we're going to give them access to a court system that's costing us billions of dollars so that they can enforce their contracts. We're going to define the parameters of those contracts. We're going to protect their interests all around the world with a $1 trillion military. We're going to do all these things. We're going to give all these things to business, and in exchange for that, we want business to be run ethically. That's creating a marketplace. There's nothing free about it.
Well, to say you're giving all these things, basically you're giving people.
Well, we're trading them.
No, but you're giving people the freedom to do with what they will with their time.
No, we're giving them
their money.
We're giving them the opportunity to behave ethically in a way that A, makes them money, and B, also serves society. And if both those things aren't satisfied, they shouldn't exist.
It's not necessarily supposed to be big. It is supposed to make you money. If I were to start a company tomorrow, it doesn't matter whether I sell pet rocks, which I think arguably may not have served society except to move around a lot of rocks. But it still made somebody money, so it's a great thing, and that serves society.
Well, I would say pet rocks actually do serve society. I mean, it's entertainment. But if your pet rocks were made out of uranium and radium and people died from them, don't you think that the government should involve itself?
I'm sure you would have people on here who would say that everything that is a superfluous expense is somehow injurious to society because it has a carbon footprint, and as such is a bad thing. So,
well, I'm not saying a bad thing, but maybe it should be taxed.
Well, but I mean, everything is taxed. Everything is taxed, and to hell and gone these days, and even further now under the Obama thing. But let's get back to the piece you read.
To GM, yeah.
To what happened here, and if Obama wanted to shut this company down, he should have done it $18 billion ago. Okay, because I mean, and now he's actually committed another $6 billion, basically just for them to get rid of their.
But Dan,
CEO.
Isn't he halfway down a slide that, to use a childhood metaphor, isn't he about halfway down a slide that George Bush started?
I think certainly some of what Bush did was wrong here. I wouldn't say that he.
I mean, he can't just jump
Obama
off.
halfway down the slide. I think Obama has the right and the opportunity to choose to do the right thing and the wrong thing here. What's happened is we're removing. One of the guys from CNBC said this really well. Rick Santelli said this really well. We're removing the danger of failure from all this. When you get rid of the danger of failure in the market, then there's no repercussions for doing anything.
Well,
bad.
I think I absolutely agree with you when it comes to the banks and the insurance companies.
Well, I think
but with GM, I mean, he fired Rick Wagoner because Rick Wagoner wasn't doing the job that needs to be done, and they're talking about actually decreasing the size of this company.
You just said the exact correct words. He fired Rick Wagoner.
Yeah.
Where in the Constitution is it written that the President of the United States can fire the head of a private company? It ain't there.
It's not a private company if it's taking government money.
Well, but then by that definition, there is hardly a private company in the country, which means Barack Obama can fire everybody today.
Well, no, it's not.
That's not a slippery slope. That's a cliff, and he jumped off that cliff.
No, I think what he has done is he has said, if you need our money to survive, we're going to impose some rules on you.
Okay, universities get financial aid. That's government money. Hospitals have government regulation, get government paid through Medicare, Medicaid, etc. That's government money.
And it's not unusual, Dan, in the cases of universities and hospitals, for the government to step in and say that they're being mismanaged.
It would be unusual for the President of the United States to fire the head of every private company in the country, which is now what he now has declared he has the power to do so.
Okay, Dan, stick around. Stick around.